Welcome back. Day 3 of the 1997 Ferrari 355 service. So we're going to begin here by removing the oil tank over here. I believe it's just held on by this one line. And then down at the bottom, there's like a receptacle that it sits into. So in theory, I think we'll just disconnect that line, and then the tank may pop right off her. Oh, we have to remove these two lines up here. So these two lines here have to come off. This is already loose. So yeah, take those two lines off, the side line, and the tank should just come straight up. So we're going to go ahead and do that. This hose on the side of the tank here, that's a 36 millimeter. So that's 36 millimeter, and then these are just hose clamps. So we've got the oil tank removed now. We bagged the lines here just to keep contaminants out. You may want to put a rag here to keep oil from draining onto your alternator, because that's have a lot of alternator failures because of the oil drainage onto the unit itself. So you probably wanted to kind of limit the amount of fluid that gets on your alternator there, or you'll be getting it rebuilt. And also, if you need a rebuilt alternator, contact Fur Parts. They can do that. That's a service they offer you, and they usually can do it within a reasonable amount of time. They'll send it back with a warranty. So if you need that, give them a call. They'll set it up for you. But the bottom of the oil tank sits on this little peg here that's fixed here. So the unit should, once you get the side line, your line here disconnected and the two on top, it should just pull right off. Like I said, there should be a ground wire on that bracket too. So we're going to go ahead now. We're going to loosen these accessory belts, the alternator belt here, and then the power steering pump belts then next, before we can get access to your timing belts. We'll have to do the same thing over here for the AC compressor. So we're going to go ahead and start on the alternator. It looks like on this, you'll have to loosen the center nut first. I'll have to see what size. It might be like a 17, I'm not sure, before you loosen this one here. If you start loosening this one, you could break this. So you need to loosen the center first and then loosen the belt. So we're going to go ahead and do that right now. So this is a 19 millimeter here, and the bolt on the bottom is a 19. So this is kind of odd. So to loosen this, once you get this loose here, the bottom bolt here, as you can see right there, this one right here, you got to tighten it. Like righty-tighty actually loosens this. It's opposite of what you would think it is. So turn it clockwise, actually loosens this. You can kind of see it drawing down a little bit. So anyway, just to let you know, there it is. We'll get it off there some way. I'll probably put the phone down, but that should come off fairly easy. Here, we'll get it off the top here. All right. So that is that belt, and we're going to continue on to the power steering pump next. So your power, get this straight here for you. Your power steering here is a 13. Loosen that one first, and then this one here should work the correct way. So your normal loosey left, right. I believe that's how that works here. But you definitely want to loosen the center one first. There it is. See, it's loose here. I can just roll that off there. I'm getting fluid out of the pump now because I'm turning the pump. But it's hard to do by myself. I'm going to have to put the... There it is. There it is. Next belt. We're going to go ahead and do the AC compressor belt next, which I believe that's going to be like a 17 again. So on that, looks like you're going to have to loosen a couple of these here. You're going to have to loosen this front one, probably this back one here, and then maybe another pivot spot. Here, I'll let you know here in a second, okay? So your AC compressor here has two 17 bolts, all right? Now you may have to use an Allen on the back side here. I didn't need to, but you may have to. And then this is like a 13, I believe. And then you'll loosen that. Just back it out lefty-loosey on that. And then that should, see how it moves that, relieves the tension on the belt. So that's how that works. So you might want to do enough here to where you can get that belt off. So anyway, I'm going to continue on. All right, so you can see now that I've removed the AC compressor belt, and now I'm going to start working on the timing belt covers. These are number 5 Allen. Okay, just remember the lengths. Most likely these are going to be longer in here and down here. The ones around the side, the perimeter, are going to be shorter. So just kind of pay attention to that. It's almost dummy proof, but just make a note of it. We may have a couple screws on the back here too. Not sure. See, now it's a little bit different. Now, like some cars, like the 348, this is similar. The 348, I think, has a screws back here, but looks like we don't have to worry about on the 355 here. So looks like all the attached hardware is on the front side facing you. So we're going to go ahead and, like I said, start taking all these out. All right? All right, so I've loosened these already. I'm just now taking them out. There should be a washer behind each one of these. Like I said, see, these are longer here. This one here should be shorter. Okay, same through. This is going to be a longer one here. This is going to be shorter. Looks like this had a spacer, so you might want to keep an eye on that. Let's see here. Yep, this one here had a spacer too. See up here, the spacer sitting right there. So it looks like this one here has a spacer, and this one here has a spacer on the cover. You can see the spacer fell out when I was removing it. So let me grab a magnet here. I'm going to set this down, put this stuff in the bag, and then I'm going to grab a magnet here and grab that before it falls to where I can't find it. Hopefully it's not aluminum. Of course it is. So let's see if I can grab that. All right, I got it. So yeah, there's a spacer behind this one and this one. And if you don't have them, they're missing, most likely. Okay, also notate there is a bracket here for wire that goes to the AC compressor. So it looks like you either break the clamp loose, or looks like a number 8 bolt that you can remove and take the whole clamp assembly off. So I'm going to try to split it here. Like I said, I'm going to have to put the camera down to do that. So anyway, just to give you a heads up on that. All right, so I was able to split this clamp. You can stick a screwdriver kind of like down in here this way and kind of push the tab and pop it. So yeah, this was, I didn't remove the screw, so it's open now. So we're done with this side. All right, so we're going to start on the other side right now, and we're going to take a look. You can see those spacers. See how there's one here, and there should be one. I can see the other one over there too. So keep an eye out for those. You should have spacers in there, and try not to lose them. So we're going to go ahead and Well, all right, that should be loose. I don't believe there's going to be a harness on this side. It looks like it's going to be free. We'll find out. But that should just pull right out. I'm going to set the phone down and make sure I don't lose those spacers. All right, we do have a bracket here for your ECU harness that comes out of the car there. You can see there's like a number 10 nut right here. So you're going to have to remove that. It's going to hit underneath this water hose. All right, so we're going to have to remove that. We may have another bracket here, right here. We'll see what happens with that. That may come with it, or it may just be sitting there. It's hard to say at this time, but we'll find out. But for sure, this one here has got to be removed. All right, so we've got all our covers off on the front now. So probably the next thing we're going to do is maybe pull the valve covers. Go to that next. All right. Also on the back side of the motor here, or however you want to look at it, opposite of the belts, you're going to have to take these covers off here on both sides. This is like a pickup for your timing. You're going to have to take that, remove that also. And like I said, your valve covers, and then there's a couple vent tubes that come off there. So all that stuff's going to have to be removed. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to, like I said, start taking these valve covers off. All right, so like I said, we've got the belts off, and I was just looking at some things, and I noticed here on the water pump. Okay, it's a recommendation that when you have this out to change the water pump or rebuild it or whatever you want to do. I mean, you don't have to. It's recommended because you're here, and the only way you can fix that really is pull the motor. So you'd have to just pull the motor just for a water pump in the future. But anyway, I did notice on this motor, and I did tell the customer, this pulley is loose. And then the bearing is shot. So it'd be things to check out. If you're not changing your pump, I would definitely look at that stuff. So obviously we're going to have to do some work on that, order some parts or whatever, and then go from there. So just wanted to point that out. And then also, yeah, a lot of times when people change the belts and the bearings and that, some people you may have to change your tensioners here too. So that may be something to look at on that. These are similar to what's on the 360. I'm not sure if it's the exact same part, but they look similar. I'd have to look at the part reference just to make sure. But these do go bad. If you have an instance where you're putting tension on the belt, you get it set, run it through after everything's set and lined up, and then recheck your tensions. If your tensions seem to drop, it's probably a good indication. I mean, it may drop a little bit because it's stretching the belt. But if you really notice quite a bit of a drop, these may be bad. Okay? That might be something to look at. And then also when you're putting these pins in, when you're putting tension on here, and you put the pin in, sometimes you can't get the pin in because this shaft sometimes will spin on you. So you have to let the thing go out a little further, line it up, and then pin it. We'll show you that when we get to the belt install, remove and replace. But we're quite a ways from there at this point. But like I said, I'm going to go ahead and start messing around with these valve covers. I'm going to take the center off first here. That kind of looks like that might be a number 3 Allen, possibly. Not good on my gauging my sizes a lot of times. So let's see what this is. This is a 4. So let me put a 4 in here and see if that's what that is. That's what it looks like. Yep, that's a 4. So we're going to remove that. And then these, I believe, are 10s. All right, so we've got all our screws removed. We removed the cover here for the spark plugs, for the coils, I mean. And then we do have a new gasket here, so we'll go ahead and replace this, when we get to it. Clean it all up, put new material, sealing material on it and everything. But we're going to go ahead and then pull the coils out and the spark plugs, and then we'll remove the valve cover. So, and these are numbered here. These are 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 is closest to the belt, all right? So that's the firing order. 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, we're going to go ahead and remove all that stuff and move on. All right, I have noticed I was pulling out number 7 here, and you can see that's full of oil. All right, that's an indication that the valve cover is leaking. So there should be O-rings underneath here. If they're not there, or they sometimes get misplaced while you're putting it together, that'll happen. All right, the O-ring just failed totally. So yes, that's what that is, and just has to be cleaned up. I mean, the coil's still good, or the wire is still good. It just needs to be cleaned up real good. As long as the boot's not coming apart or anything, it should be reasonable. So we're going to go ahead and continue on to pull the rest of those out. So we've taken the gasket material off, and then you also have, you have the bolts around the perimeter, top and bottom. You've got this one here and this one here that's covered by the wire. So don't forget about that one. And then before you can take this cover off, like I said, you have to take the panel off on the back. All right, because this ties into the cover. So you want to take these 3 bolts out. Looks like that's one's an Allen. 2 number 10s. It's probably like a number 4, I'm thinking. That needs to come off. And then this will separate. All right. So we're going to go ahead and take those out right now. I want to make a note. I'm leaving the plugs in right now. I mean, you could remove the plugs right now, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the valve covers off first, just in case I drop something. If I drop it at this point, the plugs are actually in there. It'll keep any from falling down in there. But if you have removed your spark plugs, I recommend you shoving something like little towels down in your plug holes here. I'm going to do it anyway, just to keep debris from falling down inside the motor, in the pistons, in case you had the plugs removed. But I may just do it just to, keep shit from falling down in there anyway. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so now you can see I have my little rags in there, like paper towels. I just broke off, shoved them in there. So I've got that in there right now. So like I said, I'm going to continue on to take these nuts and washers off, right? So the next thing I'm really going to do, I've got this breather line I've got to take out of here. I'm going to take this breather tube out of here. I'm going to disconnect it from up here just to give myself some more clearances. Also, I've got these injector wires here. We may disconnect those too. We'll see. But I definitely want to get this breather tube out of here and the one over here. Those should follow over to the other side. We'll do the same over there. So I'm going to go ahead and remove both these right now just to make it easier so I can get the valve cover removed. So you can see here, I've removed this line, this breather line, and it comes around to the other side here. It goes to your air cleaner box, all right? I'm going to try to keep that together. You can see over here I've got it removed also. So I'm going to try to remove it from the back here. See if I can get it fished out of here without removing a bunch of stuff. So looks like it's going to work. All right, there we are. There we are. We're going to remove that. I'm going to set it over here for right now. Let's see here. Set it there temporarily until we get some other room to put stuff. So the next breather line we're going to remove is, you can see here, the one on the valve cover here. I'm going to try to take the one off the bottom and then pull up on it. Should have enough flexibility where we can get it out. It crosses over here. Let's take this cap here from the radiator. That's kind of in the way. We'll put it over there for right now. And then it just goes to over here. And then it goes to the side here. We should be able to just like remove it. Hopefully I'll just be able to let it sit there, not remove it any further than that. But that's what we're going to do. We're going to remove the bottom portion here on both sides. Right, so we were able to get that breather line out of here. Like I said, it went from here, crossed over, and it went to the other valve cover. And then it kind of crossed over and it goes to the tank, the oil tank. So you can see there's only one line here. It used to go right here and went to the oil tank. So we removed that line completely. We've got it sitting over here right now. And like I said, we're going to go ahead and take the valve cover off over here, continue to do that. Also, I noticed that there's a bracket here with a sensor on it. So make sure that when you're putting this back together, that goes back in that same position. So we're going to continue on to take this valve cover off. All right, so we've got this cover off here. Now, if you can see it, a 10, and like a number 4 Allen, I believe. And then this bracket here went on the top hole of the bracket attached to that nut there. So we're going to pull that off. Like I said, this is going to come off here, just like so forth here. So I'm trying to get that off here. There it is. So I took the nut off back here now. The valve cover should be loose enough to where we could pop it off. So to get some clearances on this valve cover, when we're pulling it up, it's got these plenum, like these little tubes here off the bottom of the plenum, and they go to the risers here. We may have to pull these out. Just keeping in mind where they go. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. It should just pull right off. So it might make it easier if we pull these off, and then the valve cover should come out of there. So it just takes a little wiggle. They should come off. You might want to check them too, just to make sure that they're not broke. Because if they got a hole in them, you're going to have an intake leak. So check them out. And you may want to mark them. That's what I may want to do, just to remember where they go. Just so they kind of conform to where they were at before. So I'm going to pull those off to give you more room in this area. I've got those hoses removed. I just got them sitting on top where they go temporarily. I'll have to tape them up and mark them. But like I said, check them out. Make sure you don't have any holes in any of those, or you'll have a leak. So right now we should have enough room to where we should be able to pull this valve cover up. It's going to take 2 hands, so I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway. I'm sorry I can't show you it. There you go. I've got it pulled off. So eventually what you're going to do is you're going to maybe check these O-rings out here, replace those as necessary. We've got these O-rings, I believe. If not, like I said, we'll have to order those from Fur Parts. Before we pull any of this apart, we're going to go check our timing and everything, make sure everything's where it needs to be. But we're not quite there yet. We're going to go ahead and pull the spark plugs yet, and then do the same on the other side. Once we have all the plugs out, we'll check the timing. We'll get the timing to where we think is where it needs to be, and then we'll do our belts and stuff. But anyway, you're going to have these O-rings here, this here. I mean, if you're replacing these seals, it's recommended to change them. Some people do, some don't. If they're not leaking, you don't have to change them. No one says that. I'm sure Ferrari says, hey, you got to do it every time. Same thing back here. This has got to be changed out if recommended. If it's not leaking, maybe when you put it back together, maybe put a little sealant on. We use Hylamar instead of RTV with everything. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the other side now. Like I said, we've got our hoses up here. Where they go, we may stick them back on here just temporarily, just so we don't knock them down, lose them, whatever. But we're probably going to have to do the same thing on the other side. Well, like I said, we've got the valve cover off now. I'm going to have to break off for today. We'll continue on the other side in another day or so. But I did stick the tubes back on here on where they kind of go so they don't get lost. But anyway, please stay tuned for day 4. Like I said, this is the end of day 3. We didn't do too much, but we did get some stuff accomplished. And we'll get this other side taken off, see how everything looks, to see if we need any parts. We'll have to do a little research on a few parts, like the water pump. We're going to have to do something with it. Either order the front half of the pump or bearings and that for it. We'll see what we can order. I know sometimes some of the parts are getting hard to come by. A lot of times you can just order the pumps anymore, but they kind of go back and forth on that. It's been a while. I know the last engine I did like this was a 348, which is kind of similar. You just had to get the section of the pump that was not rebuildable. They did not have a kit at that time. But I don't know if the 355 is like that. I'll find out. I'll call Fur Parts and see what they've got for options on that. But anyway, thanks for watching, and please stay tuned for the next part.